Hey everybody, how you doing? This is James from Wix1.com, Wix1.com, all things mobile. Well, it's 2017, and it's been a while. I know the site's been up and down and all around, and we've been just learning so many new things about technology in every area of the world. Um, you know, when this website started around 2000, uh, you know, a lot of the new things were the early iPhones. Android didn't actually exist, to the masses. BlackBerry was still a big deal, and who knows what else. You know, we've had one hell of a ride, honestly. Like, look at the things that we've seen. Just Steve Jobs brought iPhone to the forefront. He he introduced an amazing device, and he says to the world, "We're going to use this thing that we already have, our finger, to navigate the world." Well, he did it, and now we've got Apple iPhones, we've got Android, we've got BlackBerry, we've got so many options. We've got touch devices of all kinds. We've got phones, tablets, computers, laptops, everything with a touch screen. It's like, you know, once touched, it just continues on. We're really moving forward in quite a quite a rocket ride. There's really a lot going on these days. Back when, I don't know, I think it was about a couple of years ago when we were talking about LTE Advanced and LTE, when I first started ranting about that. Now phones are carrying LTE Advanced. Um, Today we're talking about the iPhone 8. I got one of these puppies today. Here goes the case. It's pretty nice. I like it. I got this mainly not just because it's the newest phone, even though I like getting new phones. I got it because this is the last device that Steve Jobs worked on. And anybody who's, an Apple fan, I would say, go out there and grab one of these because it's really more of a symbol than anything else. Um, I know that there's this new one, this iPhone 10 or X or whatever they want to call it these days. It's a departure into wherever they're going to go, and that device is a first generation device. So we don't know what bugs it's going to have at this point in time, and I'm expecting to have a whole whack of bugs and troubles and issues and whatever. Um, but at the same time, I'm sure they'll be limited. Apple is a good crew; they're smart guys, and there's a lot going on there. So, these days we've hit a crossroads, and the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are the last devices Apple will ever make that Steve Jobs worked on. So that's my reason for buying one of these devices today. Um, it's a great phone, and obviously I'm going to use it to the fullest extent. And it's got fantastic cameras, and it's very fast. The chipset is all Apple. They own the chipset on this one. It's not made by Samsung. It's not made by Intel. It's made by Apple. So the main chipset is an Apple chipset. So it's real. It's truly an Apple product through and through. And that's what makes this one special, at least for me, because this is the last one Steve Jobs worked on, and it's also a fully intact Apple product. And I'm pretty excited about that. So let's take a look at, the iPhone 8. Yeah? Here goes the box, and it's really quite nice. There's the front. It just says iPhone there. Yeah. Here goes the phone, but we'll just put this in here for a minute. We'll come back to it. Alright. Just some documentation as usual. some Apple logos and other types of how-to guides. Check this out, tips and tricks. Actually, pretty stylish looking tips and tricks, actually. It's nice, nice to see. And inside the box we have earbuds. Yeah. And on the back, there's the adapter cable for the lightning port. You know, because it changed from the usual headphone jack to the reversible one, right? And so I guess they will include this for a little while. I don't know how much longer. Knowing Apple, they change everything pretty quickly. These are actually pretty good earphones. They sound nice. I've had them before, and I've used them before, and they have a pretty good sound. Yeah, also in the box, the handy dandy cable, USB and reversible lightning. Yeah, it's about, I don't know, 3 feet roughly. Yeah, usual suspects here. And the fancy AC charger. That's it. That's all you get. So, yeah. This would be the iPhone 8. It's really shiny, yeah. It's hard to get a good picture on it because it's so shiny. This is a space gray 64 gig version. It's really quite nice. It's hard to explain, but along the back here is kind of a glass finish. It's space gray underneath. The logo is underneath the glass, not on top, so it's not going to scratch off. And also the word iPhone is underneath the glass as well, so that's going to remain intact. I don't know if you can see it well. I can try to get this down here. Yeah. So it's very responsive. It's fast. You basically, from the time you put your thumb on there, bam, it's already in. And you can just pull it down from here, and you can pull your window shade straight down, and it's really quick. So this thing will really surprise you. It's a little heavier than the 7 because the 7 is just a tad bit lighter than this one is. But I can tell you that the iOS 11 functions quite well on this. You will notice no slugginess, and it won't appear to be something that's falling behind or slow or anything. If you've seen the benchmarks that I put up on the Wix1.com, you will know that this chipset is about 2.5 times faster than anything out on the market to this date, Android or iOS, a computer or not. So this 811 processor is really quite something. I'm going to be taking some photos probably tomorrow, and I'll post them up. So this device is still on USB 2, sadly, but it is Bluetooth 5, and the A11 chipset, it does have bigger pixels within the camera set, so you're going to get a deeper, nicer photo than you would with the 7. I took fantastic shots with the 7. I'm pretty excited to see what I can do with this, because as you may know or may not know, I'm into photography to a certain extent, and I have a knack for this. So let's see what we can get out of this phone tomorrow. That's going to be kind of exciting. So, what else is fantastic about this? Well, iOS 11 brings you a couple interesting things as well. Um, I feel like they've taken a bunch of emoticons and just some quick tricks and some other ideas. Because in the Messages app, along the bottom, you get all these icons like from different apps that you're using, as well as the usual ones that you're trying to uh, see when you're typing a message. So, like, okay, I'll show you something here real quick. Okay. All right. So now down the bottom, like I was trying to say, you have these icons in the iOS 11, and you've got basically whatever apps you use. You have a shortcut menu right from there, which is kind of neat because you can do lots of stuff. I think that once you get into this, you'll notice that this phone feels kind of premium. It's a little heavier, but not really heavy. But it feels like you got something. You know, it doesn't feel like a cheap, crappy phone. It doesn't feel, like something you just like. Well, I don't know. Maybe I paid too much for it because it feels like it's from Kraft. It's a Kraft dinner phone, but it's not. This is pretty good. So you're gonna like it. It feels premium. It feels well built. It's comfortable in the hand. It's not as slippery on the back because it has the glass coating. So the aluminum was a little bit slippery. So I was always worried about holding it and dropping and it slipping on your hand. This doesn't feel that way. It feels like you can hold it and you're not worried about it. You feel like you got something. The the Touch ID is super fast. Like it's just like bing, so you're right in there. Um, there's a lot of things that moved around within the menu system for the iOS 11 also. One of the things uh, that I've noticed that's like they're converging things, right? They're putting things in all in one place these days, and then they're just dumping in 1,000 other menus. Let me just look at one short thing here quickly. There's something I wanted to point out. All right. Right. So in the battery area, there's low power and then battery percentage, and then you get a whole truckload of these apps um, that are basically showing off, well, what you're using, what the percentages are, and so on and so forth. Um, you really should go through your phone and disable anything that's using too much data or too much battery, because it's just going to eat up your battery and your space on your phone. A lot of these manufacturers like Facebook and whatnot, they love to use up your stuff. They don't care, right? They're not the one paying the bill. So it's up to you to really tweak your phone just a bit, But at the end of the day, is this phone good? Yeah, it's good. Is it fast? It is fast. On the internet, I can type in weeks1.com and I'll be there in like no time. Here, we'll just punch that. Bam. It's gonna go. Right? Like there we go, and we got some of the benchmarks up there already. So you really, there's a huge article I wrote out there the other day. If you feel like reading that. So at the end of the day, I think if anybody's interested in getting one of these iOS devices, this iPhone 8 series, and instead of getting the 10 because it's the Face ID and they're afraid of Face ID, um, I'd say it's worth it. These are good phones. If you can get it on a subsidy and it's cheap enough for you, you'll be happy with it. It's a good device. I'm not saying that there's a lot of changes from the 7. From the 7, what you're going to notice is that It's a faster chipset. Um, it's pretty much around the same kind of RAM. You're going to get mostly the same battery life. It's a better camera. The coating in the front and the back is different. There's no aluminum. Physically, it's very similar, um, but you'll notice it's a little bit heavier. You're going to notice that there is internal changes, and it's the internal changes that sometimes wins the war. Not necessarily the fluff changes, um, but I did notice that it plays a lot louder with music and sound and video, and the video on here is spectacular, and as is the Plus. So you're gonna see pretty cool things on this. You can do 4K video. You can record wicked audio. You can There's a lot of good things, and the previous one had a little bit more high end, I guess more treble. This one has a more evened out mid bass tone, which is great because I felt like iPhones weren't really capturing that part of recording sometimes. So at this point, when they did add that, I was pretty happy. It's a very smart device. There's a lot of things like out of the box that you're going to have to pay attention to and try to configure for yourself. Anything from driving your car and it knows that you're driving to um, setting up your Bluetooth the way you want it. Siri's smarter on here. Siri sounds more natural. Um, there's quite a few options. You're going to be surprised at how many things are actually in the configuration these days. There are so many things. Scrolling through the menus is very slick. It's smooth. It's steady. It feels like a premium device at this point. It's not just all right, here we go. It just feels like you can just, it's like a magnet pulling through. It feels very gentle. I like the way that the phone operates and the way that it feels when you're using it. Even the transitions are really good. The iPhone, like iOS 11, is optimized for the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. On the 7, it was good too, but I felt it was just a tad bit sluggish, just a tad, because the transitions and the phone was not, it didn't feel like it was optimized for the transitions. So right now, all I've got for you at this point is that if you're interested in an iPhone 8, there's no reason why not to get it. I think it's a good device. I think you'll like it. And it's got Bluetooth 5. So all your headsets will work a little bit better. And if you're thinking about getting one of those AirPods or something else, I think you'll enjoy it. iPhone 8. WIX1.com